In this video on Dorico 3.0, we are going to take a look at the new feature, Guitar Tablature. Here's an example of one of the looks you can have with Guitar Tablature, where you have standard notation on the top and the tablature at the bottom. If this is all you're going to do, just a single guitar part, you're well served to just go up to File, New from Template, and there's some new templates in this version. Here we have Solo Guitar with Tablature, and it's going to open a new project with a single player, it'll be guitar, and it's set to this look right here. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. We don't want to save it and work with my project. What I'd like to do right now is I'd like to add a new player. I'm going to set up. Shift P would do the same thing as clicking on New Solo Player in the Setup menu. And I'm going to navigate to Fretted Instruments just to take a look at the list of fretted instruments we now have in Dorico 3.0. You're going to find lutes, lap steels, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, basses, 12-string guitars, ukuleles, banjos, dulcimers. I'm going to go ahead and select electric guitar, and I just want to do standard tuning. So I'm going to click on Add, and it updates to electric guitar. Now let's say you have a custom electric guitar or you've modified it in some way. You can get Dorico to still recognize how your instrument is set up thusly. I'm going to click here, navigate down here, hover over this to get this chevron, click on it, and navigate to Edit Strings and Tuning. And within this window, we are defining our instrument. You can see we have a standard 6-string guitar with standard tuning now. Thank you, Dorico. And our first string is noted as E4 because Dorico recognizes middle C as C4. So the open pitch of each string, the number of frets for each string. You need to make a selection before you can modify anything. I'll select the first string up here, and now you can see I have my parameters available to me for editing. If I'd like to do a group of strings, I can shift-click, get a contiguous selection. I can at any time click in the background to deselect everything. I can command-click to get a non-contiguous selection. Again, clicking in the background to deselect. If I'd like to work with all the strings on my instrument, go over here, select all. Again, clicking in the background to deselect. Let's take a look at some items here. Open pitch. So let's change our E2, our low string, to a D2. We're going to do drop D tuning. I'm going to select this. Two ways I can do this. I can go down, tune down a half step, hit it twice. There's D sharp 2, now D2. That's what we want. Let's bring it back up. And I'm going over here now into open pitch, and I'm going to type in D2. Clicking in the background to deselect, and there we have D2. I can change the number of frets. Let me go to select all. I want a 24 fret guitar. Fantastic, I now have it. If you want to change the starting fret, for example, like a 5-string banjo would, select a string and then change its starting fret location. I'm going to use the up arrow here to navigate up to number 5, so the string is now starting on the 5th fret. Any point in time, you can reset to default and you're back to where you once were. Always good. So you have the option of irregular fret spacing. Think dulcimer. We actually have a scale, for example, whole step, half step. I can enable this, click over here, and I can type in 2, 2, 1. And let me move this out of the way and you can see that. And you can see this just did it for the 6th string because that's all that was selected. So let's reset to default, select to all, and try it again. 2, 2, 1. And there we have something that starts to look like a dulcimer. Again, reset to default as your friend if you've gone too far. You can always add a string. The plus sign adds a string to the bottom. Let's click here to add a string to the top. Select that string, deselecting it in the background. And now I'm going to move this string down. I'm going to make a 7-string guitar. And I'm going to change this E4 pitch to B1. Again, clicking in the background to deselect, get out of that. If you decide you don't like something, select it. Garbage can to delete, and you're done. Lastly, you can choose to import or export tuning. So if you import tuning, it's going to look for a file that's .dorico tuning. Let's go ahead and hit cancel on that. And if you export, that's how it'll be saved as well with that file extension. I'm going to hit cancel and get out of this. Now I want to talk about the choice of display for tablature. So I'm going to navigate to layout options. And my pathway has already been selected. I want players, and then I want fretted instruments. And this gives me a list of all my fretted instruments and how they're going to appear in a selected layout over here. Let me go ahead and select electric guitar now. It's actually down here, and it's going to be shown in notation. But I have 4 different looks: notation, tab, a combination of notation and tab, which we've looked at briefly, and then tab without rhythms. So you can choose how these are expressed per each layout over here. If you want the same thing for all of them, just select all and modify thusly. I'm going to go ahead and close on this because I'm going to show you over here. I have all four right here. This is the same part. Here it is in tablature with rhythms, tablature without rhythms, standard notation, and the integrated standard notation and tablature. So these are your four different looks. Again, tab with rhythm, tab without rhythm, standard notation, and the integrated standard notation and tablature. And that's all I want to cover for this first video on tablature, and hope to see you on the next video where we'll start entering notes in tablature.